Okay, look, new background, new results for some testing that we want to talk about, and the video that I released today, all on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Well, old club fitters, club makers are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. And we started a discussion about what was in the drawers of the shop in order to get a golf discussion going. And it's gone around the world. And I'm here to tell you it's been a really great uh, experience, and we've got a really nice community going, and we're going to keep doing that. We're here to talk about golf club fittings, golf club repairs, golf club opinions, and some stuff in between as well. So let's get to it. I normally have my phone. The first things first, we talk about. Did anybody see the golf that was happening? The It was kind of I guess, did Patrick Cantlay lose it or did Kim win it? There's the question. And that's what we want to know about. Let's see. Here we go. Shriners, J. Kim with a minus 24. Neesmith, minus 21. And Cantlay, minus 21. Naismith. There you go. So for the Shriners a good thing. Shriners is a good thing. They are it's a good organization, a good community to be on. So yeah, we like that one. Watch this. See in the background. Alrighty, so we do that, and there we go. Okay, how about that? That's the last video. Alrighty, so let's get started with what's going on. What did we do in the shop? Well, we did a set of Callaway Apexes. We reshafted them. The golfer wanted them spined and flowed, and that's what we did. And put on the new CP2 grips. You notice that this iron here is different than the rest, and that's a 4 iron. And that's what they look like going forward. All right. Also got a set of Mizuno 221s blades. Don't those look nice? We're going to be using the Z-grip cords for them. And some recoil 110s. They're beasties. They're in the X Flex. And that's what those guys look like. All right. Plus, we also have a set of Titleist that the wrong shafts got put into, and we were supposed to put them in today, but they didn't arrive. So that's not going to happen. Pull this up a little bit more. There we go. So there we had that going on. Plus, I did about 7 different. We call it singles night, where we basically get enough clubs together and that we just concentrate on it. And Mrs. McGolf goes, "It's singles night," and that's what we do. And they're normally broken or something along that lines. And actually used them in a video that will be coming out Wednesday. I'm going to stop doing Tuesdays and we're going to do Wednesdays. It's a analytics thing, and we're going to try and get more and more and more as we possibly can. So so be aware of that. All right. Also, Erin's still with us. Look at that. Very old, but she's still with us. And brisket. Brisket was the meat of the day. So not too bad. It's been a good weekend so far. For those of you that are not in Ohio, this is Columbus Day, and where I work celebrates Columbus Day, so I had the day off. So there's a lot going on. We got some club repairs done. We've got some videoing edited. Mrs. McGolf is in charge of getting new doors on. We'll show you that when they're all done. And I got to go play at JC's for 9. Would have been 18, but the foursome in front of us was apparently playing for money and was going massively slow. So I only got 9 in, and and shot a 43. Went back to the tips and shot a 43. So I was happy with that. 3 pars, not bad. Not bad at all. Charlie, if you're out there, Belvini. Belvini. All right. So we're going to go back and we'll discuss this video that's going on right now in the background, as you see over here over my, I'm going to assume it's my, well, it is my right shoulder. Over my right shoulder, we're talking about the Mizuno hot metals, the JPX 923 hot metals. And what I wanted to talk about was there's going to be 5 JPX 923 models in total. There's going to be the high launch, there's going to be the hot metal, there's going to be the hot metal pro, then it's going to be the forged, and then the tour. All right, the couple of things that I wanted to get out, if even if you go look, because there's way more stuff covered in the video, that there's going to be a lot more left-handed options available. Okay, a lot more left-handed. Now, they also, and I've seen them all, but I can only talk about the first 3. And they're very clean. They've cleaned them up, right? They've cleaned them up. I can give you a lot of specs and the whole 9 yards, but the real deal is that they've added in the lower end, the first 3 that have been released, a nickel composite, which makes it a little bit stronger, allowing for face to be a little bit thinner. But when you do that, you have to support it in some function, form, or another. So if you go and you look the other side, right there, if you look at that badging, or that is supporting the face right there. It's really kind of cool that whole thing right there it looks to be very uniform. And how they get that is by taking a drill and coming from underneath here. I got to move by coming from underneath here and then going up. All right, it's really kind of neat how the technology to make it's happening. However, this side, so this that is helping support the face from a springiness point of view. A really kind of neat idea. The V chassis is this. It's what you see there in the blue. And the V chassis gets tweaked ever so slightly, and the bottom of it is very thick, where the bottom or the top is thin, or to drop center gravity, ball goes up in the air, and you get more ball speed because it's now a slightly 1/2 degree stronger iron. I got to hit some. They hit very well. They do feel a little bit softer than its predecessor, but is it amazingly so? Not so much, but there is a difference if you put them together. All righty, so we talked about that one. The other part is that fitting results, right? Fitting results. Mark Dan, I'm going to say his name wrong. Danaberger, who is you've seen. I've done videos with him. He's a kid that can hit a 6-iron to like 240 if he wants. If I was to give him that thing you see right up there, he'd hit that 230 easy. All right, he just swings. He's real aggressive, comes in real flat, but he's young and strong, and he was struggling with putting. Now keep in mind he's playing very low numbers, so struggling means missing putts. You're burning edges, right? So we're tweaking this guy in order to get him to go square. So we use the Capto. And it was really he's been through other putter fittings, and he was just amazed at all the information that was available. And we really just basically went through a little bit of it. And when they do that, little bits and pieces, because you can get overwhelmed with information. And what it came right down to is that his eye line was right. The putter needed to be flattened 1 more degree. And we were seeing that. It was 0.8, 0.8, 0.8, 0.8 all day long. So we flattened it 1 degree. And what was happening was we saw that he was shutting the face because of that angle. So when we flattened him out, he stayed open ever so slightly. And then what he was also doing is that he was closing the face down as well. So it was a twofer. He was going this way a little too much, and then he was going this way a little too much. So I gave him a degree of loft. I flattened him a degree of loft, which and basically opened him up a little bit. And then what happened was he started overthinking it. And we found out what the rest of it was, and it was technique. So it's not always all gear. So instead of basically, when you put low to low, there's a little bit of an arc either way. But what was happening was when he was taking it back, he was doing this with it. And then when he chopped down, it was all over the map. The minute I told him low to low, he's drilling it. He's drilling the middle. No more misses, wide right or left, mostly left, and no more of that. And he was right down the middle. So even a guy that I would imagine he's probably playing to a 2, maybe a 1. Who knows? So that's where that one goes. So now the other part of it is the is a driver fitting. I did a driver fitting for a guy that plays, I don't know, not very often, we'll say, but wants to get into it a little bit more. And it was just that he's at that transition period. Is it lessons or is it equipment? In this particular instance, it was a little bit of both. We worked on him a little bit, but he was a shorter guy. And with the shorter guy came shorter clubs. And once we realized, had to get past the myth that, if you make it shorter, you can't hit it as far. Well, that's garbage. And we all, if it's quality of hit, if shortening the club gives you a quality hit that's much, much higher, you'll hit it very much further. All right. So we got through that and got into the driver, and I let him hit his, and we got an average. I believe it was like 210. Then I gave him the driver that I thought would fit him, and he got out to 2.25. So we got 15 yards on him. And then we started looking at golf balls, and this one caught me off guard too. I didn't expect it. We went from triads and chrome softs and hit him, and he was out at the 2.25. He was hitting pretty decent. I went to the Chrome Soft XLS, and he gained yet another 10 yards. So overall, this dude gained like 35 yards overall, but gained literally another 10 yards just on the golf ball. Who would have thought? I've seen increases, but never anything that big. It was huge. So if somebody say that it's really not a big deal, they're not thinking straight. So again, I've not seen that. I've not seen numbers like that before, but I have seen. I have seen the. Let's see what I can do here. There we go. And but I have seen increases. I have seen increases. I just haven't seen that big of an increase. So there you go. Okay. So before we get started, subscribe. It's down there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit that bell, and that way you get all the notifications. If you're on Facebook, like us over there, and that way it just helps us out. And every bit of this helps us get noticed a little bit more. Okay. Oh, another thing is if you can see back here, back there, we do have a new shipment of the tour towels. They have the McGolf. It's 100% stitched into the logo, stitched into the towel, and so that's cool. And we also have the the divot tools with the McGolf logo on it, and we still have a few of the extra large aprons left over. So if you're interested in that, send Mrs. McGolf a note, and we'll take care of you. Okay. Here we go. Big Al. Is there much of a difference in the SimMax SimX2 drivers 10.5? Is it worth upgrading the head or wait a little while and buying a stealth head? Thoughts? Okay. Actually, if you have the Max, and this is purely what I get when people bring stuff in, because I'm not a tailor-made dealer, so I don't have access to all that information. I wish I did, so I could make better suggestions for you guys, but it's just not working out that way. But this is from people that have had these things. If you have the Sim Max, chances are you have the better head. Okay, if you have the better head, you do make a leap over into the stealth, and I will caution you on that one as well. Again, a lot of this is a love-hate relationship, meaning that the stealth head, I've had guys, if you're a big hitter, I've had guys they're kind of like this with it. The guys that are a little softer really like it. Now, that's just coming from what I have here, and I have a small batch from which to get my information from. Okay. So I would take it at that. So if you have the Sim Max, I wouldn't spend all that time to spend the money to go up to a Sim 2. And in actuality, every year they go up, they go up a model. TaylorMade's I'm sure, going to release another one. And I would probably wait till the new year and just see what happens then, and see what they have to offer. You very well might find you a Sim Max 3, and that's the second coming of a golf club. That's what I would do with that one. The only problem I think is there's a lot of secondhand stealths there on sale for buying sites. Never a good sign about a golf club. And you would be correct, sir. And that's what I was trying to say. Now, I do know for a fact when this year at the PGA show, it was the only driver out there available to hit. And people were pounding it, right? They were at all the shaft companies. Anybody that could have something to hit had a stealth head on it. And when it was all said and done, these are, there was 1,000 folks over there, and everybody had to hit 5 or 6 shots. And that's not to say each one of those drivers easily had 1,000 shots on them, quite, easily. And the guys what I got from the guys it looked like somebody hit it with a ball peen hammer. And it wasn't necessarily the golf ball as it was the tee. The tee was leaving indentations on it. Now, that's a lot of golf shots. I will say that. That's like 100+ rounds. So for a single guy. So you got to, take that all into stride. But I'm hearing that over and over again. So keep that in mind. All righty. There's Matt. Can't make the live stream for a second array. Kids soccer. That's all right. How do you organize your car for golf? Multiple pairs of shoes in a crate, waterproofs just in case. Well, in reality, what I do is I have a truck. So I know, I don't have an organizer, because what I've done is I've taken my truck bed has a spray-in liner on it. And then what we've done is, thanks to Bob, is gone to Walmart, and there's this really thin, almost breathable like throw rug that you would put outside. And I cut it to go around my wheel wells, and that's what's in there. So when I slide my stuff in, it doesn't get roughed up by the truck bed. Unfortunately, I did that. And it was it did scrape up my stuff, so it was pretty good. So there it is. But what I take with me is I normally, because I own a golf shop. The idea here is that I would I would take whatever it is I needed, because it was always right at my front door. My whole basically first floor is golf, so I'm kind of not the right guy to ask. But I don't use an organizer, because my golf bag is big enough to hold everything I need except for my shoes, and it could do that if I wanted to. But normally they're dirty, and I own a truck. All right. David, there you are, sir. I was wondering what happened to you. Please discuss, in your opinion, do adjustable hosels adjust loft or something else, fang and lie angle? Okay. Yes, they do. Okay, the adjustable drivers do adjust loft. Now, oh, I thought I had one here near me. Doesn't look like it. So I'll use this as an example. There are two different kinds. There's two different kinds of adjustable drivers or adjustable adapters. Let's go with that. The first one is what Callaway uses, and they use cogs. So it's on a straight adapter, and these cogs adjust on this straight adapter, and you set them to +2 degrees, +1 degree, -1 degree, whether you want the face to close a little bit more or you want it to stay neutral. There's not a whole lot of opening on that, okay? And that might be the con to this particular setup. However, the shaft never moves. It's the cogs that are around it that will adjust to that. And yes, it does do that. And it's the difference, it's the widths of the cogs that make that happen. All right. The second one is a adapter that's on a tilt or on an ellipsis. All right. So that when it turns, it's like this. It goes around like that. So what happens is you have two parameters that are taken care of. So as the face opens, right? As the face opens, you're adding loft. How does it go? As it tends to go shut, what they really want it to do is when it opens up and it adds loft, right? You just want this to happen. Unfortunately, what happens when you do that, it typically opens the face. When you go to shut it, it typically closes the face. Now, I have seen where they go opposite, and I haven't quite figured that one out yet. The elliptical must go the other way. Now, you could probably make that happen if you got a left-handed cog and did it and went the other direction for it. But what happens is you're on ellipsis, and when one parameter, the loft, is adjusted, so is the face angle. All right, and that's what happens. And that's the reason why you see stronger, +2, open, upright. There's a lot of those different things. They're not, it's give and take. It's normally a 1-to-1. All right. When it comes to lowering a golfer's handicap, do you think they should focus on putting, short game, approach play, off the tee? Is one a combination or all of the above? Okay. I think if it's via practicing, everything inside 150 yards needs to be practiced. You play most of your golf inside 150 yards. If you can nail that down, which is short irons, 2 wedges, and putting, if you can nail those down, your handicap will drop like a rock. Now and as a case in point, you ever seen some older golfers that hit it 150 yards, 150 yards, 150 yards, 150 yards, and their short game is laser focused. I watched a guy that was in his 70s that took a golf club in one hand and a cane in the other, and literally walked out like that, would drop the cane, swarp the club, hit 150 yards, flip up his cane, walk back to his thing, and literally just absolutely scour guys that were hitting at 300 yards and take every drop of their money. And because that dude was playing from the up tees and he could par out on almost everything, because for inside basically 75 to 100 yards, this dude was lethal. And it only takes a couple of hits to get there, and all of a sudden he's on. So, yeah, I think that's the way it would go. I know there's stuff out there, hit it far, and then your scores can come down. But the percentages, if you really want to make it, is inside 150. Hey, look at that. We agree. Oh, here we go. Matt, my car setup is for my push cart and my clubs. I will take additional items necessary as weather dictates, umbrella, rain gear. etc. There you go. That's cool. Managed 80 yesterday with a triple and a double. Well, that means that you're doing really good the other way. That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. David, I'm with Matt. A solid short game will bring your scores down the fastest. Hey, we're all on there. Hammer. Nothing feels like a Mizuno. I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that much at all. The Mizuno is rapidly. They're really doing. They're really trying to keep their stranglehold on the iron bracket, and they're really doing a lot of work to get up into the driver bracket. With this releasing something, it was like releasing 3 drivers every year. And they finally segregated the adjustable driver, with the movable weights, from the other 2 drivers. So the G model will be on one release year, and the X and the Z model will be on the other year. So this year, the 200G will stay the same, but the 220G, sorry, and then this will be a 230 S and X, or Z and X, and I think it'll be okay. And they keep adding, and I'm here to tell you that they're spin killers, and they work pretty good. So I wouldn't count them out. I just really wouldn't. There you go. And Charlie wouldn't be wrong either. If you're in that, the smaller headed realm, the CB model, that CB model from Wilson is really hard to beat too. I got to say, that's one of my faves because it is a very forgiving player's iron. A lot of other folks could hit it. They really, really could. Hadn't played around in 3 weeks. What? Wow, you must have been a good boy. They're going to be they'll be all over here in a little bit. All right. Hey, there he is. Hello. There you go. Well, Matt plays in the snow, Charlie, so he'll go out there with a toboggan on and get after it and be a happy camper, so that'll be good. A buddy of mine argues it's off the tee, which I get his point. I don't agree, and my PGA pro is adamant about short game. Combined approach play is the biggest impact. From an impact point of view, correct. Now, the argument for that is, and I've got the book. I'm about halfway through the book on, bust that ball far. The numbers are with you when you do that. Well, it's always good to hit. You can never argue with a really long drive down the middle. You just can't. All right. But what does that mean that you got to do? Well, it means it just gave you a short iron in. So it's easier. So you got to be really good with your short iron. The same thing could be said going the other way. Well, if you pound one in there and it takes you 4 strokes to get to the green, what good's it going to do you? Right? When you could probably take a tall iron and get one down there and then take a mid iron and be on the green. So, I mean, there's the argument. Uh-oh. He's getting in the sun. Bill Newman, or Nauman, sorry. Good video this morning. Well, thank you, sir. Make sure you put that sunscreen on there, man. All right. Had a frost delay. So did we. It was it was near freezing today, and but it turned around, got warm really, really fast. I went out. I left at 11:30. By the time I got to the course, it was nearly 65. So far, we're actually getting to this weekend, and so we'll hopefully have some video and some pictures for you this weekend. Mrs. McGolf and Bob's wife Penny are making good on a Christmas present from last year, and we're going to Pinehurst. We're going to go to Pinehurst for just a couple of days. It's not going to be very long. It's just an extended weekend. And no, we're not going to number 2 or number 4. We looked into it, and the cost was staggering by comparison. So we're going to check out the other really nice golf courses in the area, so we've been told, and then we'll go scoot on over there and see whether or not it can be done or not. All righty. I didn't get to tell you. See if we got this new background going. You see this guy? That's a Norman Rockwell picture. That's a picture of St. Andrews on the 18th tee. And if you see right where my finger's at, Mrs. McGolf Robin and I stayed right there. And we stayed right there. And this is from the House of Representatives in Ohio, giving me the thumbs up for Club Maker of the Year, or Top 100 Club Fitter. Oh, that reminds me. And 20 years in doing it. So that makes my third one from those guys, from the Senate of Ohio. Not bad. Those guys, I don't know how they're keeping up with it, but they are. The second thing, some news, is that I got nominated for the Golf Digest Top 100 Best Club Fitters again, and I have to fill out an application, which I'm in about 95% done doing now, and what also takes into play is OEM inputs, and there's about, I don't know, 2,000 or 20,000, I don't know, but there's people that Golf Digest leans on, and they take their opinions. So if you're one of those guys, or if you see in Golf Digest that they're asking for opinions about club fitters, if you want to throw a little nod my way, I'd appreciate it. That'd be great. All right, so remember that, Golf Digest Top 100. They might ask for it here in a little while. Raymond Pina, what's going? Lakeland, Florida. Sir, are you all right down there? Did Lakeland get hit with the storm as bad as we saw for Fort Myers and whatnot? Or is it just a lot of wind and rain? Hopefully you are doing okay. All right. Manuel, what's going on, sir? Anything new this year so far? I go here. Bo Curtin, how are you, sir? Good afternoon. Hope every plays went low. Didn't go as low as I wanted to, Bo, but low enough since I backed up a tee mark. I was happy with it. And if I could go back around and do it again, I would probably drop another stroke or two. It was more about, I was still putting on the greens that I left on the last golf trip, and man, were they quick. And although these weren't too far off, but they putted a little differently. Thank you for showing up. You too, Raymond. Thank you for getting on. All right. Manuel, here we go. The triple bogey on 18. Did he make a great putt to save a 7? I've done that not from 35 feet. Yahoo! Is that what happened? I didn't watch it, so I'm not sure. We got here Travis from Jersey. Just reshafted my driver with a counterbalance shaft, the RDX Blue. Ooh, you got to let us know about this one. Interested to see if it will make a difference. So there's a couple things going on with that, Travis, in that the RDX is a different way of weaving the graphite. All right, it's really kind of cool the way what they've told me about this. And they have a blue and a red, and I believe they even have a black. And the red is something that they've not done for a while to try and get a little bit more high launch. And I think it's kind of funny to call an RDX line high launch, because that's not what they're about. They're about really punching it out there and keeping things down. So I don't know, but yeah, you're going to have to tell us how that works out. I am totally interested to hear what you think about that. Deuce, what's going on, buddy? Hey, that looks awful familiar. Hold on. Oh, it looks like it's a standard issue kind of thing here. Either that or you and Bo are twins. Good afternoon, all. If you all played this week, hope you went low. Yep. Hopefully we did too. All righty. Good looking brisket. Well, my dad thinks so. He introduces the he introduced the or he texts us after we get some of that stuff. Texts us, not Texas. And I always get the hey, it's the best one. Or normally I know when he's not real impressed with it. He goes, "Well, it was pretty nice." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I got the big thumbs up and best one yet. We turned a large portion of it into burnt ends, and I use the burnt ends. I use the American Soul Brothers Watch Your Mouth sauce. And when it comes to brisket or beef, I don't like a real sweet one. I like it. I call it darker, but it's just less sweet. It's more, I guess, brown sugary or a little bit more smokier flavor, something along that lines. Because I just think it works better. And that's what Watch Your Mouth is all about. And it cooks up really, really well. Pardon me, it eats really, really well, and just very at the very end, it goes pow, and it gets you right in the back of the throat. So that's the way I like it. All right, Dimple Sphere, been scoring in the mid 70s for months, loving life in Tennessee. You the man. Good job. We're at in Tennessee. Duque, when getting fit for irons and hitting off a mat, how does a fitter know what edge works better for turf contact? Well, Duke, it depends. It depends on the type of mat. All right. If you are having just the regular range mats that can't be this thick, that's a tough one because there's a lot of false positives that can occur. When you hit that very hard surface, it can cause your iron to shut, and it makes you look like you're hitting it straighter than you normally would. Now, there are other mats out there that do imitate the way that you would interact with the ground, and they come really, really close. And that's for spin rates, the way you get hooked up, the whole 9 yards. And I researched for quite some time before I came up with mine. And so that's what we do indoors here in the fiber built. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call it a mat because it has a rubber base all the way around it, and then a big opening for us to put what they call a stance mat. And this stance mat has a lot of give, much like you would be if you're in a fairway. And then the hitting area has bristles I'd say about an inch to an inch and a quarter, and they're very tightly packed in order for the club to catch. And it also has a plastic bottom on it so that if you really were chopping wood, it would make this grossly loud sound. And that would key me into what's going on. Now, there is one other one, and feels something or another, and that's all I know about it. But the rest of them, when you're hitting off of something that doesn't want to give and it's very, very low cut, you have a real opportunity for false positives, and you got to watch that. And so if you are, uh, I would look at it, and I'm just guessing because I haven't done this one for a while. That if you were hitting off the thin mat and you were really coming down hard on it, your elbows would hurt. All right, your elbows would hurt a lot, and you would hit these squirting shots. They would take out and then they would rise up and then they would quickly fall because you got a lot of spin on it. And the ones that you were scooping, uh, the ones that you're scooping, look at that, huh? Oh, I'm repeating myself. Look at that. Oh, we'll go with that. Uh, anyway, if you were scooping, right, and you were hitting behind it, you would actually pop them up even higher. But it's really, really hard to. It's you're right. It'd be kind of hard to determine that if that's what you're truly looking at. What I would probably do is, again, if I was in this situation and that was one of the parameters I was looking for, I would literally throw down a piece of plywood that had paint on it and have you hit a few balls on it and see where that paint transferred onto the onto the golf club, very much in the way of a lie angle board, only you're standing on the whole board, and then see what happens from there. Maybe I'm holding my comments until I see all the releases. All right, because everybody's got them. I've got to see the Strixons, and I gotta say, again, they did pretty much what Mizuno did. They already liked what they had. They just cleaned it up a little bit more. But I will say the ZX4 is a tremendous upgrade, a tremendous look, a much better golf club than the prior year. It night and day, and it still has the same specifications, so that will be good. I haven't seen Callaway yet, but I suspect that we may see a new Apex. I haven't seen it just yet, and I'm hoping to see maybe an update on their TCBs. And we're bound to see another driver, I'm sure, and we'll see what happens from there. We've already seen Titleist, but it was more in the woods category because I think their irons were already released earlier, right? Ping in the 430 has made it out. I haven't seen an iron just yet. That would be interesting. And we haven't seen anything totally from TaylorMade just yet either. So those are some pretty big players that we haven't seen anything from. I'm hoping to go to the PGA show again this year. We'll see what happens with that. And hopefully we'll make some new inroads with some of these other companies. But once that's done, yeah, we might see something. All right. There you go. Very good. PZ, what do you say, Pat? So, how are you liking that Capto now that you've had it? Have you got your fittings in? There's a lot going on with that bad boy in there. And if really, I don't know if it's just you and I are the only ones using it for fitting. So maybe we can make our own little group go with the Capto folks and help them out. All right, Deuce. Chromesoft XLS is a wicked golf ball. I've played them all, and by far the farthest best ball for soft feel and distance. Nice, well done. You know, I equate these. If you go back far enough, you remember when Callaway had the hex ball? People were going goo for those things. I never had a chance to hit them because I never considered myself that good. But I that would be neat. Now, again, I think that maybe the return of the hex ball might be showing up. I just can't tell you for certain. But yeah, I do like it. I play it. That's my golf ball of choice. Brian Pasmico, how you doing? Got my third hole in one. Well, congratulations, Brian. Well done, sir. That's 3 more than I got. Gap wedge from 110. Laughed because I called it before I pulled the trigger. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Well done. Well done. Good job, man. And just actually for that Canadian Thanksgiving, it's just depending on where you're at in Canada, it's, it's getting close, isn't it? Dennis Hood, how are you, sir? Yep, congrats. Brandon White, right. How do you say, man? Picked up some Titleist 981s with tri-spec steel shafts. Were those made by Titleist in-house? Shafts any good? They have some rust. Should I reshaft? Well, let's start from the beginning. 981s, good luck. Those things are tough. Tri-spec shafts were actually made by True Temper. Man, this dating myself really bad. It was in the tri-specs were in the TaylorMade had a very similar shaft in graphite, I believe. And what it was is it was their shot at trying to make a flighted set of shafts like rifle had. So the top end were get the ball up in the air, a little bit more zip, where the middle irons were basically like a DG 300, and then the lower end was more of a controlled flight, maybe even just a tad heavier kind of setup. And if you're a really decent ball striker, they are really not bad. They really aren't. However, if they've got some rust on them, change them. All right, I want to sell like a fuddy duddy on this one. Change them. All right, it's just from an old shop teacher. If you've got chrome and you're starting to see rust, it's already too late, because that rust has permeated the length of that particular steel, and it's just finding its weak points on the way out. So it's a prelude to something bad happening. If you're truly going to use these things and use them as gamers or get serious with them, change them out. If you're just out there to have fun with them and see how long they go, then don't sweat it. Greg Carter, what do you say, sir? Thank you for joining us. Charlie, I don't leave my clubs in the trunk of my car. Not good for them, hot nor cold. Or the garage, right? Or the garage. That sees hot and cold just like your car. Uh, Although probably not nearly as bad in the swings because it goes into the parking lots. However, they do see that, and they're also, as much as we hate to admit it, it also becomes a home for mice in some cases. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the not a big fan of leaving them in the garage either. All right. At Big Al, I love the Stealth Plus. It feels good on impact, however, a bit heavy for me. It is longer, even at 4,500, but the new head 2 grams heavier than the Swim. There you go. There's some in there. Greg and Chillicothe. Well, let's find out. JT Wilson, how you doing, sir? Thank you for joining us from Louisiana. I didn't even have to look. I remember. Who can forget this logo over here, man? That's awesome. Well, it looks like the doctors have put an end to my season. Have a torn rotator. Ooh, dude. Well, you know what? I know you're in Louisiana, and I know you can play golf year round. But right now is probably, if you're going to have something like that happen, now is probably the time, right? You can a couple of things. Number one, you go get that thing fixed, and you can use that as the sympathy factor for going into the holidays. Huh? Particularly if they, now again, over here, I work around an aged workforce. If it's really bad, they have to fillet you open like a fish. But if it's not real bad, they only go in there with a couple of holes, and they do it by robots. And guys swear by that. So hopefully it's the minor of the two. Hopefully you get recovered really, really well, and hopefully you're right back on the course. Hopefully sometime after the new year. But keep us informed, man. Keep us informed. Innocent, can you use aftermarket fitter adapter on irons, woods, hybrids, and driver and tournament play? None of the clubs came with factory adjustable adapters. Well, if you're talking about like, say for instance, you have a fitting club, right? You have a fitting club, and you could wrench it in there, and could you go play with it and be okay in tournament play? The rule of golf is if you have something that's adjustable or adaptive, it has to have a unique tool in order to get it. And that unique tool has been that torque wrench. So if you're using it on irons or a hybrid, which there are plenty of adjustables there, and the driver, which we know they're all adjustable, the only case in point would be the iron. And if you can do it on those two, there's no reason why you can't do it on the iron. The only thing is, once you put it in play, you can't touch it. So be prepared for that. Past my prime. I hope you're not going to make us watch you on that wall monitor too. No offense, but one at a time is enough. Oh, I was trying to get I was really trying to get something good on there in the back, but it's not working out real well. Let's see if I can get you something else here. Here we go. Let's do this one. We'll get going on that one. And Greg is from Chillicothe, as I'm getting ready to see here in just a little bit. There we go. There's another one. All righty. All right. Doing well. Back to work. Not lifted, so can't do any golf, which really stinks. That's too bad. Played a 75-year-old last week. He shot his age, a 10 handicap, hold it from 150 on. See, that's what I'm telling you. If you get a guy like that and he's lethal inside 150 yards, he's gonna take money. He's gonna take money from some folks, particularly those guys that believe you got to hit it 300 yards, and they hit it 300 yards into the trees. Right? It's just not. He's gonna absolutely fleece you every time. All right. David Rogers, how are you doing? I go to Pinehurst every year. I would recommend Legacy and Mid-South. I'm not. Rob and I were just going over them yesterday. We've got, was it Talamore, Mid Pines, and the other two I just can't recall right at the moment. But they're all within, we're staying at the Talamore, and everything's within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So there's a lot of golf there. Past my prime, the short game being the most important, but when your second shot is a punch out of the back of the fairway. What is that? That's 23. It's only 6:23. All right. I'd say practice straighten your tee shot becomes most important. There's a good one. TJ Pierce hit the Caliber Pros on the course this week and enjoy them. Thanks. How well does the chrome hold up? I've heard the chrome on these clubs wear over time. Any thoughts? Well, I've been playing mine in some pretty rough areas, TJ, and I haven't seen anything about the wear. In fact, chrome, I don't know where that's coming from, because chrome on its own is extraordinarily tough, right? It's just what happens to get underneath of it. But we're talking, and if it does tend to peel, and I've seen them peel, and these were clubs that were virtually 15 to 20 years old. So in the short term, nothing at all. All right. Brian Marks, have you tested the Blast Motion club sensors? I was going to get one for putting and just got a scam. I did. Brian, I had the Blast Motion for a while. In fact, I had two of them. And they were hard for me to interpret. Keep in mind, everything I'm doing is from a club fitter point of view. And from getting results, right? From getting results on what you're doing in tempo and things like that, it gave a lot of really good information that can be easily interpreted. So yeah, it's not a bad little tool for, say, a private user, right? If you had a private user, then you're good to go. However, if you were anything else, if you're going to use it maybe as a swing instructor, then yeah, maybe, just maybe, you could get stuff out of it, and it's geared towards that person. It's not geared towards a fitter. But for a user, yeah, you probably get some really good information. Harley's Drift, I'm jealous. Maybe when I retire and get some rounds on a regular basis. Well, these are the two golf trips I've taken in this year so far. So they just happened to come one between the other. So it was, other than that, it's these two, and that's pretty much the end of it. But we kind of hope to make more. That's the reason why we're doing it, right? Hey, look at that. Same thing. Tom's Golf. What do you say? Was one over until the last three the other day and finished 5 over, best round of my year. You are the man. Way to go, dude. Good job. All right. All right. I'm a great short iron player, but struggle with 6 through 5 and resort to hybrid for the 4, which I crunch. Any advice for the long sticks? Well, uh, I'm starting to see. So, Tom, I'm starting to see a trend. And, it used to be in the beginning, it was 3 through pitching wedge. All lofts got stronger, and it became 4 through the gap wedge. And then the lofts were so strong, it was really hard to get the 4 iron up in the air. So here come hybrids to help you do that. Then the 5 iron became the transition club. Well, things are starting, they've snuck a little stronger yet again. And when they've snuck a little stronger, all that shifted down to the right. And it could be now that even good ball strikers could start at the 6 iron and play a 6 iron pretty decent, and then maybe have a 5, a 3, and a 2 hybrid if you're that person, and have some balance that way, and make sure that they all fit. I've done that. I don't carry a 5 now, and I have 3 hybrids in the bag. I don't have any fairway woods, but my what we call the deuce, which the reason why I call it the deuce is in my first set it was a 2 hybrid, was 18 degrees. Now in this next set it's a 3, it's still 18 degrees. So whatever. And I'm just looking at the loft angles, and so it has become uh, called the deuce, and I hit that thing pretty decent, and so I am totally happy with that. Uh, I mean, that's where I would go with that. Actually, if you struggle with the 5 iron, I would just take it out of the bag. And depending on where you're at with your distances too, right? If you're playing in distances that you don't even use the 5 iron hardly anymore, or it's a one in a great while, then don't sweat it. Take the 5 out of the bag, make it room for something else, and take the 4 and just choke down on it. Or retool your hybrids so that you're hitting more of the marks of where you need those full swings, and choking down is very infrequent. Brett Cornelison. Hey, good day. Thank you, Brett, for joining us. We've got a bunch of new names on here. That's great. What is the best graphite iron shaft for a 7 iron swing speed, 85, quick transition, quick wrist? Was improperly fit into Apex with you recoil ZT9s. Oh. Yeah, I could see that. Uh, so Brett, if you're fast and you're at 85 mile an hour, so that would put you, what the guy might have slipped up on is maybe the ZTs were not bad, but in the wrong flex. Your swing speed would definitely scream, "Hey, I'm a regular flex kind of guy." But if you're quick and you're really releasing, that would bump you up into at least the bottom end of the stiff range, in my opinion, right? And we would be looking at, basically, I just want you to have control, and maybe that same outfit with just a stiff shaft in it. Okay, so if you like the weight that you have, I would look at a weight and just go into the S flex. Okay, in the S flex. Now, there are several very nice ones out there. All right, in the UST, I wouldn't necessarily count them out. They have the recoil dart now. The recoil dart's pretty nice. It's a very simple shaft, but it's very nice. In that same weight category, but in the F4. Acra makes one that's called a constant weight shaft, and they have one in 70 and 90 or 95. It's built differently than the rest of the I series, and it's made to take what you're telling me right there. They will definitely work on that. I'll give you one more piece here. I'm trying to think who would be. Not Catalyst. Ta 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 ta. There's a Project X shaft out there. There's a Project X shaft out there, not the LZ, but there's a Project X out there. And if you go into that particular weight class again in the F, in their version of a stiff, I would go with that one. But that's where I would go. Hello, Scott. Phil K. I ditched the Aston analog. It's all good. Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
6:30. I got balls to pick.
You got balls to pick. All right. I'm going to get down to the bottom. She's going to go get golf balls. Ah, there we go. Cool. I bet they will love it. All right. Anybody else chat? Play? Not me, but that's the left dash. I have to go and do that. Z stars for Tom or for Charlie. Comparable to be, yeah. What's the left dash mean? I forget. Does that mean it's firmer or softer? I can't remember what that one's for. But so in that particular, in the Pro V category, what I tend to do is I tell folks, you have the tour category. So you have Pro Vs, Chrome Softs, VXs, which is the Z Stars now, right? And I'm sorry, Z Stars, uh, the B Tours, staff models, that kind of stuff. And they are a little bit different from the next. And if you're in that category, give a couple of them a try. Now, if you're spinning them too much, a lot of those same models have the X model, and that can help you out as well. Have you been busy with work here in Duluth? Tax extension season, yes. Project X wedge shaft. I'm going to have to check those out myself. I haven't heard anything on them. What do you say, buddy? Jerry Smiley, do you think my Maverick iron lofts be changed? They are really jacked and wondering if it's safe to add a couple of degrees to increase the landing angle a bit. Yeah, it is a multiple piece club, Jerry. So you could weaken them a little bit, but I wouldn't go too crazy. It would be maybe 2 degrees max. And that will make a difference, but keep in mind you're going to hit it higher, but you're also going to hit it shorter. So keep that in mind. St. Cruisin', where you go, buddy? Had rotator cuff work done 3 months ago, and I'm already playing good golf. Nice. Well done. We like to see that. You know what? You're right. It is doing that. I'm going to leave this commercial up here, even though I don't know who this guy is. I leave the commercial up there. It's funny. Mike Weir's doing something, except for you don't see any lefties hitting, do you? I was looking for a background, but I just couldn't figure out how to make that work on all this. So maybe next time. Maybe I'll just go back to the other side. All right. It does. It does sound like Tullamore, but I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but it might. I will say this: use the Thursday afternoons. They have a barbecue. They roast a whole pig, and everybody comes out and gets a little bit. So that's why we're starting on a Thursday. We're going to check out some North Carolina barbecue. I used to pay those 70-year-olds every round. Now that I'm 7-year-olds, I'm still paying the 70-plus-year-old guys. Well done, sir. Russell, what do you say? Beautiful day in golf tomorrow. Shot an 81, 30 on the back nine, Avalon Lakes in Howland, Ohio. Well done. Glad to hear that. We've been very lucky here in Ohio. Normally about this time, so we're getting October, it's getting ready to hunt Bambi season, and normally golf just takes a nosedive, and I can hear gunshots all over, echoing around my house. and either those hunting or those getting their guns sighted in. And it takes a nosedive, and literally because it gets cold. Well, when it stays into the 60s, people go golfing. And so it's been a real pleasure so far. It's kind of neat. Brian Marks, I'm going to do some ball testing soon. Currently a 3 handicap. I play the Pro V1, but I'm going head to head against the Kirkland V2. As in we use not the V2. I've not heard a whole lot about the V2, Brian. I understand it's being made by a different golf ball manufacturer, so I wouldn't expect it to be exactly the same. Even if it is the exact same chemistry, the different plants have different quirks. So hopefully it works out, but I wouldn't expect great things. Dennis Hood, thanks for info. No problem, partner. Left dash is a firmer, very low. Okay. All right. There we go. Now we know. Hey, I'm informed all of a sudden. Well done. Thanks, bud. Driver head recommendations for high handicap mid swing speeds golfer. Let's see. Let me think about that for a moment. There, you can go down the line. I'm sure Titleist has got one in that TS line, but there's 4 of them, and I'm not sure exactly which one each one's for. The Callaway Rogue Max for the right down the middle. Mizuno's ST, so you don't have to go paying a whole bunch for that. The Ping model, the 425, right now it's going to be the 430, so you might get a deal there. That one's a pretty decent one. And it just depends on what mid swing speed is to you. I wouldn't count out the Wilson D9 for a economical choice. I will say though that I've seen the new driver from Wilson, and it's going to be called Dynapower to reinvigorate the old Wilson, and it's adjustable, which means it's going to be very cool, and it's looks a little more modern. I expect to hear very, very good things out of it. Greg, think we can tip the driver shaft I got from you, the shaft that you put in my 3-wood. That 3-wood shaft you gave me, probably 34 euros over the first shaft I got. Probably, yeah. I don't see why not. Just know that you're going to play it a little shorter. Unless it's already there, then we might have to extend it as well. But yeah, I don't see any problem with that. All righty, guys, we made it 10 minutes past. That's a new record in the last 3 weeks. Thanks for everybody that's been on here. This one has primarily been in the U.S. of A. That I can tell. So well done. I appreciate all the questions, and it's been a lot. It's been a ton of fun, to be sure. Again, if you would like and subscribe, watch for that video coming out Wednesday. It'll be on the 3 biggest club maker mistakes, and it's going to be a long one. So be prepared. Get some popcorn. And as always, guys, thank you very much, and let's see your scores. Go low.